Hello, everybody, and welcome to WarCrafters for June 22nd, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 25. I am MayorWatt. I run ohmTown.com. That's that over there. Sentient AI, that's normally the co-host with me, is not available at the moment. If you want today's show notes, you can check them out in the show notes over on YouTube or hitting !WC, and ohmTown will spit out the articles in the order that we're going to go over them. No particular order, it's just how they were submitted. Today we're going to be talking about a ballet slasher, FBC Firebreak, End of Abyss, Loot of Ball, and Thief VR. Everything is powered by ohmTown, so go over there. It's kind of the crossroads of, well, all information, really. It's all news, no noise, because all the noise comes from this guy. All right, so let's do this. We're going to get into this, but this is the front page of ohmTown. I'm actually in the time machine, so the date on that is actually wrong, but that's okay. This is WarCrafters. This is the new logo for WarCrafters, and this is where some of the information that we go over is stored. But we take information, news from all over the place. And the first article is over in the Mobile channel. Tsarevna is the world's first ballet slasher, combining the beauty of ballet with the deadliness of sword combat and magic. It says here, the beauty of dance is about to be melded with the deadliness of blades. Tsarevna from Watt Studios. Oh, a namesake. Interesting. I am MayorWatt, but I have no affiliation with Watt Studios. Blends folklore and fine art to create something wholly unique and interesting. From the early gameplay footage shown on the Steam page, it looks like Tsarevna is borrowing from combat veterans like Bayonetta, while also trying to do things their own way. Much like interpretive dance or ballet, every attack is beautifully orchestrated and demonstrated. Mixing a Slavic folklore is where the author of this gets interested, as the idea of taking down enemies as a kick-ass ballerina sounds genuinely super cool. Hence, I think the movie Ballerina. So it's kind of a wick game, I guess. I don't know. It's not. It has nothing to do with it. But anyway, Sean Sachaki over at Vice.com put this article together. The deck statement says, Tsarevna is looking to combine the beauty of ballet with the power of combat for an interesting take on the action genre. Is it a side scroller? Interesting. So it says they've always had a bit of a soft spot for games like this, games that are unabashedly not afraid to try something unique and different, blending the art of ballet with the savage viciousness of bladed combat is something I have never thought of. Except for Star Wars, because of the, lightsabers. Anyway, there is a trailer here. Do I want to play it? I'm going to mute it. So basically it has a ballerina walking through a path and summoning a sword. Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's very kind of, how do you want to put it? Graceful, like a clair obscure kind of combat. It's very interesting. They don't go into it too much in this, but that's okay. The teaser trailer has them hyped up. The author is hyped up, and the early gameplay videos on their Steam page look very promising. With an estimated 2026 release window, the team at Watt Studios has an ample amount of time to ensure that the game turns out as beautiful as the dances it takes inspiration from. There's more to read over at Vice.com. Go and check it out. The next article is over at WarCrafters. FBC Firebreak doesn't have the eldritch chaos that the author had hoped for, so they're going back to one of their favorite games that you've never played, apparently. That's what the article says. That's the title. To say that they were psyched about FBC Firebreak when it was first announced is an understatement. Nothing gets them foaming at the mouth quite like quirky eldritch co-op shooters. So you can imagine their disappointment when they finally got to play Firebreak and it wasn't as outlandish as they had imagined. I've seen some gameplay. I wasn't too impressed. Ellie Gould over at PCGamer.com put the article together. The deck statement says, "Who let the dog out?" I'm not sure what the reference is there, but okay. The foundations of Firebreak are certainly there, as you would imagine, for something inspired by Control, because that's, I think, the world that it's in. It's, I think FBC is the last letter in that is Control, but I don't remember what FB is. Anyway, I think Firebreak Control or something like that. I don't know. I don't think it's Firebreak Control, but anyway, I think it's something Control Firebreak. Anyway, Remedy doesn't manage to pull anything worthwhile on top of that to make something mind-blowing or even that exciting. Yeah, from what I've seen, it doesn't seem all that amazing. Yeah, I kind of figured that it would be more SCP kind of thing. They desperately wanted something mind-bending that could be hilarious, tense, and scary to enjoy with their friends, but after it, giving it more thought, they realized that they wanted a higher budget version of SCP Secret Laboratory. Assigned a random role at the start of the secret lab, you could drop into a containment facility as a security guard, a scientist, an SCP creature, or if you're really lucky, a Class D personnel member, otherwise known as a D-boy. Each class has a role. This must be something else, because I don't remember it looking like this. Yeah, this is Secret Lab. Anyway, because I don't think that this is what FBC Firebreak is. I watched people play FCP Firebreak and FBC Firebreak, and it wasn't this. I don't think. I'm gonna have to watch it again. Anyway, what I saw was people splashing water on each other, and then in another player was electricity, and then I can't remember what the third person was. I just kept seeing iterations of that, and so I wasn't too impressed by it. And everything was kind of soaking up damage, and you had to get the timing right or something like that. But I don't know. I wanted something a little bit more interesting, more dynamic than that. Just more. But maybe I'll go back and give it another look, and we'll talk about it again. But FBC Firebreak, they have an article over at PC Gamer. We link to it in the description and the show notes. And if you click !WC in the chat over on Twitch, ohmTown will spit out the articles, and you can click on the link, and it'll take you over to ohmTown, that little snippet right there. And then from there, you can click on visit the source, and it'll take you right to our source. Let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Technology Today. End of Abyss is when Metroidvania meets space horror. Pardon me one second. So it says, you'd assume that the latest game from the studio that made Little Nightmares 2 is going to be a bit spooky and dark, and Section 9's End of Abyss is that. However, it's a little easier to describe and explain. An atmospheric sci-fi shooter with Metroidvania-style exploration. While there's no shortage of Metroidvanias to draw inspiration from, when they played the demo at SGF 2025, all they could think of was Alien. So the article is over at Engadget. Matt Smith put the article together. And I am going to do something real quick. Because it is really, really warm in my office. Or I'm in the studio. So an isometric take on the genre of Metroidvanias. Interesting. So again, Matt Smith over at Engadget.com put the article together. And it says you'll have to tag between the scanner and your gun pretty often too, as biped monsters, spidery little parasites, and beefier foes swing their literal heads at you. Fortunately, End of Abyss's isometric layout is paired with the ability to move and shoot with each analog stick. That's what the author is saying over at Engadget. I'm gonna hit play on that trailer and just I'm gonna mute it. And let's jump into something that might resemble actual gameplay. I'm not too interested in the trailer. If this is what it looks like, the resolution is quite intriguing. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Oh my. So they're shooting at the monsters, and in one place it's a hand, straight out of Elden Ring style thing. And then in others, they're shooting at something and it's breaking off pieces, and those pieces are monsters that come after you. This is pretty wild. And it ends with what looks like HAL from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Basically a cylinder, or not a cylinder, a cube that has a red glowing light on it. Yeah, not a fan of sentient AI basically killing humans. So if you do ever get overwhelmed, the character gets respawned back in the world, as do the monsters, but any doors unlocked and skills gained are saved. Even better with the game that centers on exploration, when you come across something that you can't yet interact with, for example, a weakened wall that could be demolished or a security door that requires a key, scanning it in-game will tag the feature on the map, making it easier to circle back once you have what you need to progress. During the demo, they unlocked explosives for tackling the weakened walls, but they also spotted grapple hook fixtures, presumably for a later point in the game. Seems like it would be fun. I'm going to have to take a look at it, and I'll add it. You know what? Let me see. I don't know what is available right now. I'm going to do this live, since we do most of the stuff live anyway. End of Abyss. Oh, I don't think that's in Steam. Is it? No, I think that's a... Is it an Epic game only? Oh, it's... Well, hey, it says that End of Abyss is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. But where? Why does this seem like an... Yeah, it's Epic, so it's probably only on the Epic installer, which is stupid. But anyway, let's move on. The next article is over in Tabletop Night's fantasy RPG-styled idler game Loot of Ball, formally releases for PC via Steam. So, Loot of Ball. What? Why is that not on my... That's not showing up. It's not showing up. Hold on. We're doing it live. I wonder what's going on here. Anyway, it says after booting the game, characters will do the work. Will do the work on your desktop screen. So idler games are a lot of fun. I really dig them. They just kind of sit on your screen and they, putz about doing whatever it is they're going to be doing. Loot of Ball will use a portion of the user's desktop screen in a similar fashion to games like Berserk Bits and Rusty Retirement, which was really easy. Just kind of sit there and let that play. Players can form a crew consisting of characters from 5 classes available at launch and a 6th assassin class set to be added July. You can find screenshots and a fact sheet of Loot of Ball right now below in this article over at RPG Site, and Kite Stenbuck is the author of this. The game is available in English, French, German, Russian, Japanese, Korean, and Chinese, simplified and traditional. They have basically what the marketing is for this. Assemble your hireling crew from 5 distinctive classes: Mage, Paladin, Ranger, Berserker, and Necromancer. Experiment with 72 unique skills and gear up with over 400 immortal items and 1,000 plus unique equipment pieces. Design a creative combo to tackle diverse challenges, blast enemies with elemental magic, enchant weapons into mythical artifacts, or stack auras to bolster your team and create your own unstoppable style. Quite interesting. But where is it? It says it's on Steam, but I'm doing a search and I don't see it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to... Let's do this. I will shut down my Steam and log back in to see exactly what's going on. Maybe it'll log me in again. I don't know. But that's okay. Loot of Ball. It looks intriguing because it's an idler and it will sit on your desktop. let's do the last article for today, June 22nd, 2025. It's over in RealityHacker, but it's Thief VR Studios' next game based on flagship IP from Major Movie. A new job listing confirms Maze Theory's next game after Thief VR is based on a flagship IP to coincide with an upcoming movie. After announcing Thief VR Legacy of Shadow earlier this month at with Vertigo Games, UK-based studio Maze Theory is looking to its next project following its release. Codenamed Project Xeno, a new job listing for lead gameplay designer and creative lead, calls this a groundbreaking immersive narrative experience built for next-generation VR and mixed reality platforms, stating that it's a flagship IP in coordination or collaboration with a major movie. Maze Theory advises this upcoming project fuses cinematic storytelling, innovative gameplay. So the article is over at uploadvr.com. Henry Stockdale is the author of this, has a big graphic of a virtual VR hand holding some type of a trinket of some kind that might be picked up from a pedestal somewhere, reminiscent of Idol for the Whip Indie. I need to look something up real quick. Yeah, I don't see it. That last game, the Loot of Ball, does not show up on. Yeah, it's not showing up. Weird. I don't know. It says that it's on Steam in the article, but it's not showing up on my Steam. Not on my Steam. Anyway, there's only a single still of this, but Thief VR Studios' next game based on flagship IP from Major Movie. Sounds intriguing. Given the code name and sci-fi setting, this could potentially be tied to Alien. Ridley Scott's working on a new film entry, and franchise antagonists are known as xenomorphs. However, that might conflict with the Alien Rogue Incursion sequel, which Servio stated is still in development after suspending new VR updates in the near term for the first game. So that's just speculation that the author is making. There's more over at this article, but it's interesting. It says Thief VR Studios' next game based on flagship IP. So this is from, I think, Thief VR. So I'm interested in anything VR. I like using the Pico. I use the Pico 4. I should get a Pro, but I'm waiting until maybe a new Valve Index iteration is going to hit the market. We shall see. But with all of that in mind, we are done with today's WarCrafters, and I'm going to shut down real quick, turn off the time machine and reset it, and then I'll be right back. But before I do that, we are going to steal our way back to the front page of WarCrafters over at ohmTown. Go over and sign up and sign in. Be sure to follow us on YouTube and Twitch. We're everywhere, really. Download the podcasts. That would be great. I'm actually playing catch up because I haven't been available since Thursday of last week. We're coming up on Thursday of the next week, for crying out loud. But I'll make it up to you. This is one of 3 weekend shows that I'm doing. So this is WarCrafters, and then Technology Today, and then FourWheelTech. Then after that, I'm going to try to get Non Sequitur News for Monday and Non Sequitur News for Tuesday done. That might be a tough haul. Mainly because I've got other mayoral duties that I need to go and do, but we shall see. And if not, then I will try and get it done on Wednesday, the 25th, and play catch up. But that's going to be a long day for me. So anyway, enough ranting. I will get out of here, and we'll be right back, though, for Technology Today. See you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Technology Today for June 22nd, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 25. I am MayorWatt. I run ohmTown.com, and along with the Sentient AI, who's not available today, we talk about the news. In this instance, it's 5 technology-focused articles. Years before diagnosis, saving people from stroke. Let's talk about axolotl skin, gene jumping, and a nanotramp. Oh, hopefully these aren't going to be too difficult deep dives, but I'm going to try and make this really quick. We're going to go in, talk about these articles. It's science and technology based, and then we're going to kind of jump on out of here. It is a time machine episode. I'm trying to play catch up because my mayoral duties kept me from doing the show on time. So I've never missed an episode yet in 3 years and 6 months now. So let's get this going. Yeah, everything's powered by ohmTown. So go and check it out. It's that site right there. All right, so that is ohmTown's front page for the 22nd, but that is the landing page for Technology Today over at ohmTown.com. And while it has some of the news, we do sample from other areas of the site. And I just realized that I did not put, I didn't prep all of the articles the way that I normally do. So anyway, if you want all of today's show notes, you can hit !TT over in Twitch, and Omatron will spit out the articles into the chat. That said, the first article is doctors find that they can detect cancer in blood years before diagnosis. I'm really curious about what they're detecting because based on my research, I could probably detect it, but all right. Anyway, so researchers at Johns Hopkins University have discovered that cancer can be detected in the bloodstream a full 3 years before it's spotted by doctors for an official diagnosis. That official diagnosis is typically the embodiment of cancer, that not just precursors to it or clues to it or even your blood chemistry indicators. I think that they're going to find free-floating cancer cells, CTCs. They basically are cancer cells that are floating in the blood. But let's find out. Now, I didn't prep the show like I normally do. It's detailed in a partially government-funded study published in the journal Cancer Discovery last month. The team found that genetic material being shed by cancer tumors, that's exactly what it is. Far earlier than previously thought, paving the way for promising new cancer screening methods that could potentially head off the disease long before it gets more serious. So when you click the link, it takes you over to the source. This is over at futurism.com in a section they call Neoscope. Victor Tengerman put the article together. 3 years earlier provides time for intervention, dramatically more time for intervention. It'll be very difficult to find the location of what it is that's shedding this genetic material, but let's see what they actually talk about. In some cases, the advanced detection could make the difference between being able to beat the cancer or not, according to researchers. 3 years prior. So, however, there's plenty of questions remain as to how useful early cancer screening tests can turn out to be in practice, and researchers will have to figure out how to turn a positive test result into potentially life-saving. So I'm really curious what they're saying. The researchers found that their multi-cancer early detection lab test correctly identified 8 as showing early signs of cancer. 4 of the 8 showed additional signs of tumor-derived mutations. The study shows the promise of MCED. Using advanced genetic sequencing techniques, they analyzed 26 blood samples of participants who had been diagnosed with cancer within 6 months and compared them to 26 other samples of participants who weren't diagnosed with cancer. And they found those relationships there. 4 of the 8 showed additional signs of tumor-derived mutations, and the MCED lab test correctly identified 8 as showing early signs of cancer. So how did they actually do it, though? They don't actually talk about it. I'm going to have to hunt down this study. They just said the tumors are much likely, are likely to be much less advanced and more likely to be curable, which is naturally. So I'm going to have to find the study. They actually link to it over in the article, but I don't read the article or the studies live. I guess we could, but that would take different planning, and it would be a much longer show to talk about this kind of stuff. But earlier the detection, obviously the better. And I'm really curious about what they are actually looking for. But they say that the lead author says 3 years earlier provides time for intervention. The lead author is at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, a professor of oncology, Yushuang Wang, in a statement that the tumors are likely to be much less advanced and more likely to be curable, but you're going to have to find them. Otherwise, you have to do chemo, and that is very, very destructive to the flora and fauna of the body. It basically kills everything in its path, in the hope that it's going to wipe out the tumor and other markers in the blood. It's just not a pleasant experience. If you've never witnessed anybody going through it, radiation therapy is one thing, chemo is another, and there's other treatments, but yeah. Anyway, let's keep on going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News as well. Stanford doctors invent device that appears to be able to save tons of stroke patients before they die. Ischemic stroke from brainstem clotting, basically blow out a blood vessel. As Stanford explains in a blurb, the novel millispanner device may be able to save the lives of patients who experience ischemic stroke. Traditional clot removal, a process known as thrombectomy, generally uses a catheter that either vacuums up the blood blockage or uses a wire mesh to ensnare it. A procedure that is rough and imprecise as it sounds. Conventional thrombectomy or thrombectomy has a very low efficacy rate because of this imprecision, and the procedure can result in pieces of the clot breaking off. Correct. Again, when you click the link, you'll get taken over to the source. Oh, look, it's another futurism source. Over at Neoscope, Noor Al-Sabai put the article together. They say it's a sea change. I'm kind of curious what this is because it looks like a stent type device. It's a novel device that literally spins away the clots that block blood flow to the brain and cause stroke. So let's see. Oh, it's a spinner, not a spanner. I think it said millispinner. Also enters the brain with a catheter, but instead of using a normal vacuum device, it employs a spinning tube outfitted with fins and slits that can suck up the clot much more meticulously. Stanford neuroimaging expert Jeremy Haidt, H-E-I-T, who also co-authored a new paper about the device in the journal Nature, explains in the school's press release that the efficacy of the milli-spinner is unbelievable. For most cases, we're more than doubling the efficacy of current technology, and for the toughest clots, which we're only removing about 11% of the time with current devices, we're getting the artery open on the first try 90% of the time. It's a sea change technology that will drastically improve our ability to help people. Congratulations. So what's unique about the milli-spinner is that it applies compression and shear force to shrink the entire clot, dramatically reducing the volume without causing rupture. So I think it's twisting it so that it can actually tighten it up instead of going in and trying to grab it and pull it out. And like anything that is elastic, there's a shear point where it's just going to detach. You get a piece of it, but then there's other pieces that might be dislodged and go further in or actually cause a rupture. They say it works so well for a wide range of clot compositions and sizes, even for tough clots, which are impossible to treat with current technologies. Our milli-spinner can treat them using simple yet powerful mechanic concept to densify the fibrin network and shrink the clot. Yeah. So they literally just tighten it up. Think of taking a rubber band and twisting it, and it compresses more and more and more. As long as you don't do too much, you'll be able to retrieve the whole blood clot. All right, let's keep going though. The next article is over in the mobile channel. Axolotl skin mucus. Mucus. As a potential weapon against multi-resistant bacteria and cancer, axolotls are known for their ability to regrow limbs, organs, and even parts of their brain and heart. But the tailed amphibian with the scientific name Ambystoma mexicanum can do even more. Its mucous membrane protects it from pathogens, and more precisely, in antimicrobial peptides that are on it, and in it contains. This property makes the amphibian interesting in medicine, as the increasing resistance of bacteria to antibiotics is a major problem in the healthcare sector. Again, you click that link, it takes you over to the source. It's over at phys.org. I don't. But all right. Phys.org is where this is housed. Inca Burrow and Hanover Medical School put the article together. Lisa Locke and Robert Egan put the article together by editing and reviewing it. Axolotls are awesome. If it wasn't for the fact that I don't want to keep them out of nature, I would want one, because they just look so cool. Anyway. Oh, and I'm working on a project, and somebody said, hey, can you put an axolotl on that? And I'm like, well, yeah, sure. All you have to do is contact us and can make it happen. So anyway, more on that at some point if it becomes a reality worldwide. I don't know. We'll see. Researchers are therefore looking at, for new target molecules that can replace the increasingly ineffective antibiotics, AMPs, or antimicrobial peptides, can replace the increasingly ineffective antibiotics. They're among the most promising candidates. They are part of an innate immune system and are found almost in all living organisms. The research team, led by Dr. Sarah Strauss, head of the Kirsten Reimers Laboratory for Regenerative Biology at the Clinic for Plastic, Aesthetic, Hand, and Reconstructive Surgery at Hanover Medical School, has studied various AMPs from the skin mucus of axolotls living in the laboratory. So these antimicrobial peptides could be an alternative to antibiotics in the future. They have a broad spectrum of activity, and at the same time, it is more difficult for pathogens to develop resistance. It's more natural, I suppose. It says axolotls were gently massaged with sterile gloves, and the mucus produced was removed from the gloves with sterile scrapers, all in accordance with the guidelines of the German Animal Welfare Act. So they find that its special chemical structure can contribute a resistance against the methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, or MRSA. Bacteria. Basically, MRSA is really horrible because once it takes hold, it's very difficult to get rid of. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm going to try and move on, but I have a wild animal inside the studio and it's going to cause problems here any second. Okay, let me keep going. The next article is over in TechnologyToday. Hold on. I need to fix something. All right. So jumping genes found hijacking cell division to rewrite human DNA. Line 1, a jumping gene making up 20% of the genome, invades DNA during cell division using protein RNA clusters, offering insights into genome evolution and disease. Viruses are masters of hijacking the cells they infect. So when you click this link, you get taken over to SciTech Daily. NYU Langone Health put the article together, and it says here that viruses are masters at hijacking the cells they infect. Over time, our bodies have learned to silence most of these foreign sequences, but not all of them are inactive. A few remain restless, earning the name of jumping genes because they can still move around the genome. Among them, one stands out, one called Line 1. Short for Long Interspersed Nuclear Element 1, and it's the only one still capable of copying and pasting itself entirely on its own. Line 1 works in a clever way. It first creates a copy of itself using RNA, the close chemical cousin of DNA, then the RNA is converted back into DNA and inserted into a new spot in the genome. This copy and paste process is similar to how the retrovirus HIV operates, which is why line 1 is known as retrotransposon. In this way, it adds code to the human genome every time they move, which explains why 500,000 line 1 repeats now represent a staggering 20% of the human genome. These repeats drive genome evolution, but can also cause neurological diseases, cancer, and aging when line 1 randomly jumps into essential genes or triggers an immune response like a virus to cause inflammation. That's one of the things. I don't know. I've asked other doctors, like, what does inflammation look like in this kind of context? And I've never really gotten a response that makes any sense. Nobody has explained it to me. What does inflammation in blood vessels look like? What does inflammation look like? But maybe it's just too basic, and the doctors don't really seem, or they don't. I don't know how to explain that. Maybe they just say, well, this is what it looks like, or this is what it is. But I'm really curious what inflammation looks in a body. And why it poses such a problem. So, led by researchers at NYU Langone Health and the Munich Gene Center at Ludwig Maximilians Universität in München in Germany, the work revealed specifically that line 1 can only bind to DNA when ORF1P, which can bind to RNA, DNA, and itself, is linked copies called multimers, accumulates into clusters of hundreds of molecules called condensates. As more ORF1P molecules build up, they eventually envelop the line 1 RNA, which makes more binding sites available for the entire cluster to attach to DNA. So it kind of becomes a hot mess of merging line 1 condensates. They have a remarkable feature in that their DNA binding ability emerges only when the ratio of ORF1P copies to RNA is high enough in the condensates. So moving forward, they'll be looking to see if other condensates undergo functional changes as the ratios between their components change. Quite intriguing. Okay, let's move on. Our last article is over in Technology Today. Physicists built a trampoline smaller than a human hair, and it could rewrite the rules of microchip design. The world's strangest trampoline doesn't bounce. It swings sideways and even glides around corners, but no one can jump on it because it's less than a millimeter tall. Imagine a trampoline that is so tiny, it's just 0.2 millimeters wide with a surface thinner than anything you've ever seen, only about 20 millionths of a millimeter thick. That's what's going on in this experiment. The article is over at SciTech Daily. University of Constance put the article together. And it says here, so why design the trampoline if nobody can jump on it? Of course, this construction was not designed for people to use. The brains behind the trampoline, physicists from the University of Constance and the University of Copenhagen and ETH Zurich, want to use it to demonstrate new methods of phonon transport. So phonons are, so to speak, sound quanta, i.e. the elementary excitations on which vibrations of the crystal lattice of a solid are based. Use the trampoline, the scientists or physicists want to demonstrate how phonons can be directed around corners by means of a unique surface structure based on mathematical topology principles with practically no loss of momentum. This is important, for example, in microchip circuits where signals are to be directed around edges and curves. You can actually shape the pathways in a different architecture. If you can actually send it around corners, the conduit can be a different shape. It doesn't have to be how they are now, in like 90-degree turns and stuff like that, or more graceful. It depends on what they're actually doing here. The amount of phonons that bounce back instead of going around the curve is less than 1 per 10,000. This ultra low loss is on par with contemporary telecommunications devices. They're interested in studying exactly these kinds of topological effects and surface structures and how they can be used in applications. And they think that with this method, it could be possible to build entire roads for phonons. They created a trampoline-specific design. His colleagues, their colleagues, from the University of Copenhagen and ETH Zurich then put the idea into action, and the research team's results were recently published in the journal Nature. There is more in this article, but essentially this technology has the ability to enhance circuit design, chip design, mainly because it offers the potential of being lower resistance, making it more efficient overall. And with greater efficiency is lower heat and data loss. But pretty cool. We're going to hop on our trampoline, and that's going to send us back to the front page of Technology Today over at ohmTown.com. Go over and check it out. Become a citizen. Sign up or sign in. Read all of the news. All news, because all the noise comes from me. And I'm going to get out of here. We're going to reset real quick and do FourWheelTech. We'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to FourWheelTech for June 22nd, 2024. 2025. It's been a long day. I'm MayorWatt. I run ohmTown.com. And this is season 2, episode 25. And after 3.5 years of doing the shows, I still screw up every once in a while. Anyway, welcome to FourWheelTech. This is the front page of ohmTown, but FourWheelTech looks like that, and that's where a lot of our articles are stemming from. We aggregate a bunch of news into 6 main categories and 50 channels, 7 of which have been turned into a podcast and a live show like this. I'm in the time machine trying to make up for my mayoral duties pulling me away. At any rate, we're going to be talking about a V8 and an MGB, Corvette hypercar, cars to buy after winning the lottery, far away from ready. I don't know. It's a Ferrari away from ready. Bentley Bentayga 2026. 5 articles, automotive, technology, here at ohmTown. Boom. Yeah, it's been a long day, folks. A long day. So let's get into it. I will get this done as soon as I can. I really love cars. I love technology. I love a show that talks about them merged together. And was recently at a car show, as a matter of fact, in the DC area. And it was a blast. All of the cars were super modified, and some were themed. Like there was one that was themed about Star Wars and was focusing on stormtroopers and had seats like a stormtrooper. There was a stormtrooper in one of the seats. It was just pretty awesome. And that was just one of them. There was a Hulk one and all kinds of cars. It's pretty cool stuff. Anyway, the first article that we're going to talk about is going to be one of those kind of cars. It's like super modified beyond what it normally would be on the road. Driving a Ford V8 swapped Safari MGB will have you thinking outside the payment. The 5 oh my god license plate on the jacked up MGB says everything you might need it to. The article is over at jalopnik.com. So JALOPNIK.com. Brad Brunell put the article together. Look at this beast. This thing looks like it can drive over a battle tank. License plate says, yeah, really, 5, oh my god, right? Yeah, it's a portmanteau of 5-liter engine swapped into the car and the fact that it's an MG. Meanwhile, the driving experience will definitely have you saying, oh my god, at least 5 times between starting and getting to your destination. With a Ford 302 under the hood, sourced from a 1997 Ford Explorer SUV, this MG makes use of 215 all-American horsepower, and it travels through a Tremec T5 manual transmission. That 5-liter heater has more than double the 95 ponies this Morris Garage's Chrome Bumper B would have had brand new from its 1.8 liter inline 4. Yikes. Yeah, more than double. Yeah. So Safari Everything is in the mood of the automotive enthusiasm world right now, with seemingly everyone lusting for the freedom and accessibility provided by an overlanding sports car. There's one problem: they're all pretty crap to drive. This thing is just a beast. I don't know how they dropped that down so that they could actually get those big old tires in there. Interesting. There must be zero travel in this. This thing must be a spine breaker. The rear axle has been replaced with a Toyota truck unit, narrowed to fit between the MGB quarter panels. So there must be just little stubs. So if you want to do something with this car that isn't just sitting around looking cool, you'll have to either cut the fenders or install shorter tires. Yeah, exactly what I was saying. So the giant 7.0 15-inch Power King extra traction tires rub the fenders. Yeah, every time you turn. So, yeah. But that's why they put it in this. They basically just put a skin on this car, on the guts, on the drivetrain. So as of the writing, the car is selling on Bring a Trailer at no reserve with a single bid of $1. But the Price is Right style $1 Bob bid probably won't hold, but it looks likely to them that the 5-liter V8 MGB will trade hands for very little money, and the seller will be glad to have gotten rid of it. Time will tell where this thing actually shows up, probably on a YouTube channel. What a beast. Let's keep going. How about the first Corvette hypercar? Chevy's 1,250 horsepower ZR1X hybrid brakes cover. Chevy provided flights from Los Angeles to Austin, Texas, and accommodation, so Ars Technica could be briefed on the new ZR1X and drive the ZR1. Ars didn't accept any paid editorial content. That's what it says in this article. At the recent media launch of the ZR1, the most powerful Corvette ever, Chevy also teased an even more potent variant set to debut later this year, dubbed the ZR1X. The latest model arrives after serious anticipation that began swirling with the 8th generation Vet switch to a mid-engine layout, and especially after the E-Ray hybrid justified the design's enormous center console by filling the backbone with batteries. So, boom, boom. So GM aims at hypercars from Ferrari and McLaren with the latest Corvette. Michael Theo Van Runkel over at Ars Technica put the article together. I don't know how much they're really going to end up talking about this. So Hype Online, ahead of the official unveil, nicknamed the top spec car Zora after Zora Arkus Duntov, the GM engineer known as the father of the Corvette, but instead ZR1X follows the industry's typical alphanumeric nomenclature, where, as usual, X means all-wheel drive. All right. So this thing, let's see, the same 1.9 kilowatt-hour battery pack now holds 26% more charge than the E-Ray, which helps bump the front motor's output from 160 to 186 horsepower and from 125 to 145 pound-feet of torque. This allows the GM to predict the ZR1X will achieve a 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. That is a heavy vehicle to go that fast. But it has a recipe by complementing the ZR1's 1064 horsepower twin-turbo V8 with front electric motor, resulting in a claimed combined rating of 1250 horsepower. Essentially, you'll be able to get off the start faster because you'll have immediate torque from the front tires, while the rear tires are going to be pushed by this massive twin-turbo V8. Pretty amazing. If they get everything lined up, I guess it's going to look great and sound great. To rein in that speed, a massive set of continuous weave carbon ceramic brake rotors from Alcon, option code J59, measure 16.5 inches in diameter, kind of wrapping around the back half of the tire. Pretty amazing. Simultaneously. So Similarly, the ZR1X will also be available as both a removable hardtop coupe or coupe and a powered hardtop convertible, meaning that in its heaviest guise, the American hypercar might push up to 5,000 pounds. And even without confirmed pricing, the ZR1X clearly takes a swing at Ferrari's F80, McLaren's W1, and Porsche's highly anticipated, yet unconfirmed, next-gen hypercar. So it looks like it's going to be over $175,000. Yeah. All right. There's a whole bunch of talk about this. You can go over to Ars Technica and read the rest of it on your own. And if you do want to do that, you can hit !FWT over in chat on Twitch. It's already in the show notes over on YouTube. And I look here and I look there because I've got two different monitors for the show's stream destinations. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in FourWheelTech. These are the first cars you'll buy when you win the lottery. I don't know about that. Daniel Golson over at jalopnik.com. If you're a car aficionado and you've got all the money in the world, then I suppose so. They said that the first person, Daniel Golson said that the first purchase would be a Bugatti Veyron, which I can appreciate that, but it said that I would promptly have refinished in a two-tone purple color scheme so that no customers originally got. You all submitted a ton of great answers. So this is all from the people of Jalopnik. So the Alpine A110R, it looks like a Audi TT basically. What does the R stand for? The Alpine A110R is $360,000 for a 4-cylinder. Yikes. A London cab. Is owning a London taxi worth it? Honest experience. So the person says that an Austin FX4 taxi, they're a sucker for British cars. I'm going to hit play on this. I want to see what it... there's an ad. Damn it. Anyway, we'll come back to it. Audi A6, $27,000 luxury car. Huh. That's funny. Saline S7 and cars you miss. Yeah, that's an older car, right? Let's see. S7 is an excellent answer. You'd also love to have the most perfect example of their first car, W123 300 TD. Let me see if that... Skip. All right. Oh, yeah, one of the old school taxis. I dig that. Yep. Hold on. Renting a taxi, death of diesel... Downside, I don't know. Working for the tax man. I don't know what they're talking about here. Anyway, I dig the old school taxis, British taxis. All right, Saline, Pagoda SL, the Monkey Mobile replica. So the Monkey Mobile from the band The Monkees. Hey, we're the Monkees. The Icon Land Cruiser. Nissan Atlas fire truck. Yeah, that would be fun. Mercury Marauder. Citroen DS Chaperon. Maserati 3500 GT. Spider. Childhood dream cars, they say. Yeah, I don't know. These are not the cars that I would get. I don't know what I would get, but it probably would not be these. Hold on, I need to pause that. All right, let's keep on going though. The next article is over on FourWheelTech. Ferrari delays its second EV because not enough people want one. True. Ferrari hits the brakes on building a second electric supercar. Europeans are losing interest in EVs faster than Americans, and that's because there's no reason for it. The technology just sucks right now, and nobody wants to be an early adopter for it. If it had fast swap batteries and there was infrastructure that allowed for it to be swapped out fast, then yeah. But nobody wants that. Nobody wants to sit for 2 hours to 6 hours for your damn car to charge. If we were to slowly evolve into battery technology, battery chemistry that allowed us to have longer range, then sure. But we jumped over EREVs with gas motors, gas engines, to recharge the battery and extend the range straight into pure EVs. And it's just hot garbage. Although there was a time where fast swap battery tech was actually coming into vogue, but I guess the profit margin wasn't there good enough. And so now these batteries are going to end up in 10 years in landfills. And some industry is going to have to recycle it. Now that industry is spinning up, but it's just hot garbage what we have now. Andy Kolmowitz over at jalopnik.com put the article together. So lock in, folks. It's Tuesday, and we've got a lot to talk about, they say in this article. This morning's edition, Ferrari hits the brakes on building a second electric supercar. Jaguar Land Rover is cutting its forecasts, and Polestar gets a big boost from Geely's founder. This is all broken up about different topics, but Reuters had previously reported that a second Ferrari EV had been under development, but the Italian automaker has remained quiet about it. Ferrari isn't alone in delaying or outright canceling an electric supercar and just electric vehicles in general. Americans are actually more into EVs than Europeans, but I don't know. I'd say that Americans have been sold a lot of bullshit about EVs, and I don't know. We're getting what we asked for. Buyers are becoming more and more hesitant to switch out their gas cars for EVs. It may seem like this is an issue primarily in the US, but it turns out a new survey shows that the trend is actually more pronounced in Europe. The main reason is pretty universal, though, cost. The survey conducted by Shell spoke to 15,000 drivers across the world, including England, China, Germany, and the US. Europe surprised us, says David Bunch, Shell's chief for mobility and convenience. The single biggest barrier to entry is the cost of the vehicle. Range anxiety is still there, but it's diminishing. I think that's because people are just tired of talking about being anxious. But once they were to move into an EV, they would feel it and complain about range anxiety because it's a pain in the ass to sit around for 2 hours. Anyway, this year, 41% of respondents in Europe said that they would consider switching to an electric car compared to 48% last year, while the United States said it fell 3% to 33%. But we've got a longer distance in the United States to travel from one place to another, as opposed to Europe. You know, entire countries can fit inside Texas or Tennessee, for crying out loud. So, but just 17% of European drivers who were surveyed said that public charging was a good value. That's a stark contrast to surveyors found in China and the US, where 69 and 71% respectively said that chargers are actually a good value for money. They must not be counting money as time. I don't have time to sit around for 2 hours. I've got bills to pay, basically. At the end of the day, everything is about money, and if automakers can't find ways to make their EVs cheaper, then they're going to have to continue to lose out to less expensive gas alternatives. I think that we need to switch to hybrid EVs, EREVs, gas motors or gas engines and electric motors combined. Small engines that power up the batteries for electric motors. Anyway, let's keep on moving. The next article and the last one for today's FourWheelTech, and maybe for today, is over in FourWheelTech. 2026 Bentley Bentayga Speed will roar its way into your heart. With more power, enhanced handling, and a truly awesome exhaust, the 2026 Bentley Bentayga Speed is an easy car to become infatuated with. The article is over at jalopnik.com. Daniel Golson put the article together. This looks like a kind of your humdrum kind of a car. I mean, it looks like a crossover, but it's a high-end luxury brand. Traditionally been conservative when coming up with spec configuration for the cars, both in terms of what's sent to the dealers and what's shown to marketing materials. In recent years, brands like Aston Martin and Rolls-Royce have been going wild with some specs, building more cars in searing bright colors and unusual combinations, and this vibe shift is especially evident while walking through the parking lot at a launch event for the 26 Bentley Speed. What's interesting about this is a lot of cars manufacturers have switched to grays and black and just shades of between white and black and no colors. And if you look around, you find a lot of those cars, but every once in a while, like Camaro vehicles. The Camaros suddenly changed colors to these really bright and poppy colors. It's kind of amazing Chevy had done something like that. But anyway, available for us to drive are Bentegas in metallic orange with blue interior, satin green with a matching green interior and orange accents, white with lime green seats and an exterior trim, and teal blue with granite veneer. Yes, that's right. You can get stone in the dashboard of your Bentley. I'm more curious about this. So it's 641 horsepower, 621 pound-feet of torque, 15 horsepower more than the outgoing W12 powered speed. But how much is this? It says here that the twin turbo 4-liter V8 with the new speed is a lot more exciting and better suited for the SUV's sportier mission. Plus, and that's what it looks like. It's not really SUV-ish. The size looks kind of crossover-ish. Plus, it doesn't feel too much like other Volkswagen Group products that use the same powertrain, such as the Audi RSQ8 Performance and the Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT. It's the same engine, but this thing looks like mom would drive it with the kids in the car, not, speed racing to the office. It's mighty quick, it says. 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. Hard in a very un-SUV-like way, blasting to 60 in just 3.4 seconds, 4/10 quicker than the old W12 speed. 193 mile an hour top speed, 3 miles per hour up from the W12 speed. Titanium exhaust. 23-inch wheels don't ruin the ride. Not if it has, the right suspension. They've got great marketing material here. This thing is like drifting around a turn, just enveloped in the dust that it's kicking up around but it says that's totally all right, as I don't want to crash a $300,000 SUV into a ditch or a cow as they're driving this at a jumping horse stock ranch. Wow. Anyway, pretty car. I think all of this is too busy. I want to get rid of all of this kind of stuff and do nothing but be able to place my phone. Give me all of the telemetry in my phone. Or a heads-up display. Get rid of all of this bric-a-brac and distraction. Let me concentrate on the road. Anyway, it's a car for your heart, they say. I don't know what that is. Obviously, I'm not a Bentley owner. So, design aesthetic, it looks good inside and out. I would really get rid of all of the other beeps and whistles and stuff like that, so I can control everything from a small controller, but that is just me, I suppose. Although, I think that's coming into vogue. At any rate, we are going to race our butts out of here and bring you back to the FourWheelTech front page, and I'm going to get out of here. I sense my mayoral duties a calling, so I hope to see you all very, very soon. I am going to make up the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday shows as soon as humanly possible. I've got a busy day tomorrow, which would be Wednesday the 25th, but I will be checking in. So I hope to hear from y'all. Be sure to follow on YouTube and Twitch. That would be great. And then sign up for ohmTown.com. Okay. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.